Welcome, one and all, to the 869th Interstellar Song Contest, and your first singer today is Crispy Pro.
Oh no! No! Not again! No! Someone cut the feed! Cut the feed now! Get it off! Get it off!
Hey, Doctor Who's...
Roll the intro quick! Stop him! Roll it! Hello and welcome back to Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast. My name is Troy, his name is Crispy, and we are the hotline that accepts your calls from anywhere in time and space. And as always, for the Season 2 episode reviews, we're not doing it alone, because we've got more special guests. And goodness knows what this episode's going to look like, because we are breaking a record, folks. We've had 4 people on the podcast before, but never 4 unique audio-video sources, an editor's nightmare, because joining us this week are 2 lovely fellas and the host of the Nostalgia Bait podcast. It's the first podcast of George's that he's ran for longer than a year, so hands off to him. Very good, very good.
Brilliant.
It's George Shear and Cooper Britton. Welcome, lads. How are you doing? Sorry for the little move there.
Good.
No, good.
No, it's true. Drag me for it.
We have to spill the beans, like we have to, okay? We have to.
Very nice, Troy. Gosh.
I enjoyed being on that podcast. I miss it. Bring it back.
No use crying over spilled beans, mate.
It's true. It's true. It's true. How are you both doing?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Good, yeah. Talking about Doctor Who. Doctor Who's back.
Yeah, I can't believe
So
it.
that you've been trying to
Doctor
avoid
Who's
now.
back. Oh my goodness. George, how have you been feeling about the season so far?
So far, up until this episode, I've been thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah.
Oh
Cooper.
dear.
You. How much have you been enjoying season 2 thus far?
To be honest, this season's kind of like reinvigorated my love for Doctor Who. Like, I think it's
wow.
the
Same,
strongest
actually.
season we've had in a long time. Newest episode, I still am quite frankly on the fence about it. I don't 100% know how I
Interesting.
feel about it yet. I'm hoping today might sway me a little bit. But I'm a little bit unsure. I put on Twitter
that's
say
fine.
I'm a little bit nervous for the going into the last 2 episodes of this series.
Oh, same. Very
Yeah.
much the same. Troy, how much
Yeah.
have you enjoyed this season thus far?
I've really enjoyed the season. I think it's been interesting because I thought about it. I've not had a 10 out of 10 episode, which has been interesting.
Ooh.
But in terms of like the actual quality of the season, I agree. It's been the most consistently good that we've had in a while. So I definitely back that. Yeah.
Good.
And what about you?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love Doctor Who. It's a good show.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, I think it's good. All right, thanks, everyone. Subscribe.
So, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is
yeah.
the moment.
Yeah. We're here to review the latest episode of Season 2 of Doctor Who, the Interstellar Song Contest. And as you all know by now, and if you're not, if this is like Cooper would say, welcome back to a brand new episode of Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast, an intro that makes you want to shove my head against a wall. We are... the way we like to start these episodes off is with a score out of 10, which for some of us may be more challenging. Not everyone loves a good score out of 10, but gives you an inclination as to how we're all feeling roughly, and then we can debate. And already getting a couple of impressions here, I think we're going to have some very varying scores, so I'm
yeah.
intrigued. Let's start with the misery guts over there on the left, at least on my screen. George, if you could give the episode a score out of 10, what would it be and why?
4, and that's generous.
Oh my god.
I
Okay.
didn't.
Wow.
I didn't enjoy it, and I think the longer I've left with it, and the more I've read from other people's takes and readings of the episode, the more I'm like, I just can't. It's sort of like it might not be the worst. It might not be a 4 out of 10 episode, but it's sort of the vibe and impression it's given me coming out of it, and how negatively I feel towards it. I'm like, it's just there. Do you know what I mean? It's not in the Forest of the Night bad, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just disappointed, I think.
Yeah.
Is it too late to change guests? Can we get someone more positive? Can we swap
No. This is good. No, this is excellent.
I'll carry it. I'll
Troy,
take
you
the
have
positive.
no idea how I
We've
feel.
got
You got no idea
conflict.
how I feel. Cooper, yeah,
True.
go.
A 5 and I give it a 6. I give it a 6. I think 7's like my I like this episode. It's below. It doesn't hit the 7 mark. I think every other episode's been would be at least a 7 or above for me. But this I I'd put like a 5.5, 6. I'll go 5.5. 5.5. We'll go.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go 5.5.
Wow. I'm so curious. Troy and I haven't spoken about this episode at all.
Oh.
Troy doesn't know my score. I don't know his score. This could
I'm
be...
going to guess it's best for you to go next, Chris.
You want me to go? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I want you to go next.
Now, this is interesting. If George and Cooper came over to my house yesterday at about 6 p.m., the first time I watched this episode on Disney Plus, thank you, Disney, I would have given this episode about a 5.5 out of 10. However,
Yeah, there was a butt coming there.
I had a delicious dinner. I had a great, I watched like a murder mystery documentary, and then as I went to bed, I was like, screw it, I'm going to put on the Interstellar Song Contest again. And I felt forgiving. I forgave it for all its faults, and I had a really good time with it, but I think Cooper brought up a really good point that like the threshold, like the, hey, this is all right, is a 7 out of 10. So I'm giving this a generous 7 out of 10.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll get
Leave.
into that. I'll get into my reasons why. I'll give into as to
Yeah,
why
I think we've all
gave
got
it an
like
extra 1
there's
point.
definitely
Yeah.
reasons. It's not just going like I'm not jumping on the hate train for no reason. Like I have
I need to leave.
We're all
reasons
experienced.
as to why I don't like it. Yeah,
I've got to go. I can't stay here.
I know
Troy's-
what Troy
Troy's-
thought because I saw Twitter.
What is it? Like
Yeah,
the six
yep.
six
But
things
it's
of
not
grief.
But this is not a bad thing. Like it's good that you.
Yeah, we can have
liked it.
discussion. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Troy, did you give this a bloody 10? Surely not.
I gave it a 9. It's possibly my favourite episode of the season.
No.
No way.
Troy,
Loved it. I
no.
really loved
I don't know
it.
how he does it.
Troy.
Well, this is good.
No.
This is a good thing.
Look, that's good though because someone in this call is going to be swayed. I don't think. I think either Troy is going to be like brought down, or we're all going to be like, yeah, you know what, Troy, you cooked.
Wow.
Don't bring me down. It's ELO. Don't bring me down, lad.
How do
Please,
you
I'm
think
begging.
this is, bro, how do you think this
I
is
don't
better
wanna-
than Story in the Engine?
I don't want to make you.
What?
I don't want to make you not like it. I don't want you to feel worse about this episode.
Oh my goodness.
I want to feel better about it.
Troy, you've got a lot of heavy
Well, I
lifting
think-
to do
I
this
think-
episode.
Bro, this might rival your Rise of Skywalker take.
I was about to say, you guys seen A New Hope? You guys seen A New Hope?
Don't
Troy
you
hated
dare. Don't you dare do this.
Yeah, he took us to his
This is
ranking
the
on
New
Nostalgia
Hope.
Bit. He
I
took
know,
us
I
to
was
his
wild.
ranking. Oh,
Bro, thanks
I'm
to the
gonna
Song
leave,
Contest
man.
is better than New Hope. That is wild.
Boys, this is the most social interaction I've had in over a week. Let's not ruin it by talking about my terrible takes. At least
Okay.
what you think are terrible
Okay.
takes. Yeah, fun context for the listener. When I said I got better last week, I was wrong and then was ill for another whole week. I went and got
Oh,
a
yeah.
diagnosis. I had a massive stomach infection. It's horrid.
Oh my God.
So I feel good now. I feel great now. But, like, be nice to me, okay? I'm sensitive. No, we should mention this, because actually I do want to promote it. We probably should do it later, but I don't really care. I was on their podcast. It came out last week, Nostalgia Bay. And genuinely, much as it upset Josh Carr to see it on Twitter,
So funny.
the most fun I've ever had guessing on a podcast. These two are a blast.
it was so
and
damn
you've got to get
so
Chrissy
sweet.
on. Make it happen.
we
Yeah,
we're
please.
gonna
Do one together.
we got to get you on.
I was going to
Crispy. We've
message
gotta get you on.
100%.
both of you last night, be like, get me on. Because as soon as I saw Troy having all the fun, I was like, I'm jealous. I'm
Yeah, no,
jealous.
you've got to.
Gosh,
you actually
damn
have
it.
to. I was. no, I'm
no.
connecting you now. I'm making the link, and then I get all the
Yeah,
credit
we'll-
later. I
we'll-
get the ad revenue.
You're getting zero credit or ad revenue, my guy. But yeah, Crispy, you're welcome
up.
on anytime.
100%.
brother.
My
Appreciate
lawyers
it.
will be in touch.
So good.
Okay, so we got a couple of ways we can do this. Either I can talk about why I liked it, and then you lot can bring me down, or you lot can talk about your critiques, and I can see it. Because the common thing is, I don't know how much of our reviews you two have seen, but very often it's that I understand the critiques, but also just don't care. Which is very much, as you mentioned earlier, kind of my thing with Rise of Skywalker. There are definitely problems with that film, but I'm just not bothered by them very much.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong for the record of it, like enjoying something. And
He
it's
does.
Like,
He
there's a
hates
lot
me.
of time.
He thinks my opinions are terrible.
I don't think
This guy didn't like Ahsoka, so we have very contradicting opinions. Cooper's got better taste than I have.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
Conflict!
Ahsoka's ass. I don't know. I think there's like if I could enjoy something and not feel that level of like critique or annoyance in my head, then I'd be happier. I'd be a happier person. I'd enjoy more of the show. It's I think just disappointing because it's the way this is built up. It's like the biggest budget episode of the season. It's the one that Russell was like, don't get this spoiled. Make sure you watch it. And but the thing is as well, it also had a lot riding on it. There's a lot of tricky ground to cover. It's a minefield of an episode. If you're going to do a Eurovision episode in the current climate, it is a hard one to cover. And
definitely,
with certain elements of this episode, I feel like you look at it and go, I maybe wouldn't have done that given the context of that this is a Eurovision episode.
Can I...
Or at all, actually.
As a dumb Australian, and Australia is in Eurovision somehow.
I was going to say...
Australia is in Eurovision. But I don't know, we don't really talk politics at all of that on this podcast, but I don't fully understand the context of the Eurovision controversy. Can we, Troy? I'll ask Troy right now as the HR manager or whatever, PR manager of who's there.
Don't put it on me, fella. Don't put it on me.
Is that? We can talk about that, right? We could talk about that.
Do we want to?
Yeah, we can briefly touch on it.
We can kind of brief context without talking, because I feel like it's probably not the place to talk about.
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to just...
I'm happy to... I don't mind if you want to do it.
I can do it.
You two take the fall, and then we're clean. It's all good.
I'll take the fall for this. Basically... Because I don't really want to talk about the politics of the episode, but I'm happy to talk about the Eurovision controversy. Basically, when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out, Russia got banned from Eurovision. They were like, no, you cannot take part no matter what, this, that, and the other. And then the Israel and Palestine wars broke out, and all of this has been going on for the last 2 years, or how long it's been. And the controversy is that Israel haven't had the same, from my understanding, that Israel haven't had the same treatment as what Russia did. And basically... Israel qualified for Eurovision the very last minute, and it's caused a lot of upset. And Eurovision have been doing a lot of cover up, like there.
It's very much the cover up side of it. So it's like this is a conflict that's been going on for decades, but it's the and there are a lot more. There's a lot of people online in the Doctor Who community and who are not, who can put this sort of more eloquently than probably we can, and have a much broader understanding than we have. But I think it's very much the idea of, again, like, Russia's been expelled from it, whereas Israel have almost been platformed by it. Like, the Israeli government are buying ads to promote them to get things. Like, if you saw the results last night, they got so many votes from, like, random, like, call-ins and stuff. Again, it's a political thing. They're like removing the booze from the stadium and putting in fake cheers.
Yeah.
And it's very...
Wow.
Yeah. They're like... There's a lot of... There's a lot of politics around it. So the problem with it is like, if you do a Eurovision episode and they're trying to tie it into a big TV event, it makes sense to promote Doctor Who. But if you're going to do this, you need to either stay completely clear or make the... If you do any political stuff in this episode, which they did, maybe don't make it like remotely problematic in any sort of reading. And I think that's where, for me, the episode kind of slipped up, and I can kind of talk about that a bit, but yeah.
Wow.
That's my understanding of it. Don't attack me.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, you've given a better explanation, because I was going to, but you know it better than I do, so I'm glad you did.
That's from my understanding, and especially like... And I think doing a Eurovision episode was a fantastic idea. I think the thing that's let it down quite a lot is that they've done a political... Because Eurovision is known to be unbelievably political. Whoever the fan favourites are, whoever the European favourites are.
Yeah.
For example, the year that the Ukraine wars broke out, Ukraine won, that kind of stuff. Like, it's very much, it's always been quite a political... And it's known, it's a political thing.
Yeah.
I've never watched it at all.
The UK gets
I haven't watched it much myself
every year.
either now.
Like, we get shit on every year. Sorry, swore. We get
That's
thinged
fine.
on every year.
There we go.
The
first one.
Disgusting.
For the record, listeners, Cooper said it before we started that George was the one to worry about.
That is true, yeah. Basically, the UK get, like, we get slandered every year. And it's just such a political ground. So then to take a Eurovision episode and to make it political in the episode instead of completely separating it, just kind of... And especially what the story was about is it's very similar to stuff that's gone on this year at Eurovision as well. And obviously, you can't have foresight and stuff like that.
There are connotations of it without tackling it directly, I think, is my issue with it. It's like, there are similarities. And again, a lot of people have had better breakdowns in this. Talking about the episode itself, like... For me, just jumping in straight with, like, the biggest thing for me that was a inherently negative thing. I have my issues with the reveal at the end, and like
we could talk about that,
the other stuff. But
yeah, we'll
I think,
have a section for that for sure.
But in terms of like the Eurovision politics thing, like we saw the Doctor torturing a survivor of genocide, freedom fighter. Yes, he was threatening to kill like trillions of people. I get that. But like there should have been a point of, in my mind, the Doctor doesn't, if the Doctor's going to torture someone and then it's followed by a scene where the companion just goes, "Oh, you're wonderful, by the way," and there's no like, this was bad, by the way. Like, again, people compare it to the scene in Dalek where like Eccleston has the gun and he's going to kill, and Rose is like, "No, I won't let you do this. This is wrong. You're becoming like this." And it's like that confrontation. The Doctor going dark is always bounced back by someone going, "You've went too far," or the Doctor realizing that they've went too far. And I don't think that was in this episode. It felt very much like, yes, let me continue to like electrocute this man who, in the context of the episode, is a survivor of genocide and is, yes, a freedom fighter, but there's a lot of strong connotations, and again, there's a lot of people who can put it more eloquently than me, and could break it down in a lot of readings I've read. But fundamentally, for me, is a flawed point of this episode going, the Doctor shouldn't be doing that. And I like the Doctor being dark, sure, but there was no comeuppance for that. There was no, like, what's the difference between this guy doing the Delta Wave and killing innocent people, and the Doctor using the moment to kill trillions of innocent Gallifreyans? What, like, where is that moment of understanding and going, maybe them two are have had similar experiences out of revenge or anger or fear, and then they do something to take down the corporation. Doctor Who used to kind of go down this anti-capitalist route. Look at Capaldi's era. If this was Peter Capaldi's Doctor, the corporation behind this genocide of this planet would have been the villain and would have been taken down by the Doctor, you know? Like, I feel like he would have switched sides as soon as he understood the context, but it felt like as soon as he stopped the guy, the episode was sort of wrapped up.
I do agree the corporation was a bit too faceless. I can agree with that. It's just kind of like a buzzword to be like, oh, the corporation did this. That definitely felt a bit kind of hands off. I feel like the comparison to the Time War, I mean, the Doctor didn't end up using the moment, so like in hindsight, from his perspective, he can say, well, I didn't do that, I was close, and he's always regretted it anyway. That was a whole thing of his trauma for like 3 generations.
I understand that, yeah. But I'm not saying he should have allowed the guy to do it, but more that he should have been I understand, I've been in that position.
Yeah.
And that you are a survivor of this genocide. I
think that's part of it. I think he didn't
angle.
have the full picture, and I wonder if that was intentional. And it hasn't been explained very well because like he heard, like, because Gary and Mike said it was like, you know, the Hellions destroyed their own planet. That's what everyone says. You know, they did it to themselves. And the Doctor don't think hears too much beyond that. So he's only heard one opinion that has been, you know, fabricated by the corporation.
100%. And I think that's where
the explanation there isn't great.
That's where in the story it's like, because the audience know the real context and what actually happened, it's being disguised by a corporation. Again, we're talking like real world events here, like the connotations are quite strong there. It's going, then is there not a point then where the Doctor should learn the full context and then regret his actions and or stop the corporation or do more than that? But it's sort of, the episode plot kind of wraps up around the half an hour mark so they can have this moment of song where the Doctor maybe has that reflection, but again, there isn't much reflection going on. So Belinda can call him wonderful, they can get in the TARDIS and continue the story arc. It's like, I just feel that there was something missing there, and I think when I know it's not about that. It is just, realistically, this is just a family TV show, all that sort of thing. It doesn't have to have this wider world context, but when you do the Eurovision thing, it's going to be naturally tied to it. And I do worry that with that added context, you just need to be so much more careful. And a lot of people have had many readings into this. And you can enjoy the episode without that, and that's fine. But I think this has been a very controversial episode for a very clear, understandable reason, I think.
I think marketing it around Eurovision, having it air on TV just before, like literally the slot before Eurovision, originally having Ncuti Gatwa do the points announcement for Eurovision, like it's very much tied together. So to then do something that again is so tied, especially this whole thing with, if it's true, the reason why Ncuti stepped out from doing the point announcement it feels very tongue-in-cheek with what goes on in the episode, and like I don't know, it's just like I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed, like, I loved the Hellions. I thought they were a great idea for a race. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, it was that whole sequence of the Doctor being, like I said, I like the Doctor being dark. For me, it was too far. For me, it almost needed more setup. Like, we needed something from a previous episode or a previous episode where he gets angry and upset, and we kind of see like some sort of decline to warrant this much of an outrage. And even like Belinda, when they have the conversation on the screen and Belinda goes, "I've never seen him like this," and then to see him torturing the Helion lad kid, and then for her to have like that sad face reaction, for there to not be a conversation about it, for it to then just jump to a song, a revival. They go to the TARDIS and she says, "Oh, I love you, you're great." Like, for me, there should have been there's some sort of scene or some sort of connection there that's been skipped through.
It's also like, where's the Belinda from the beginning of the season that held the Doctor accountable for like taking her DNA without consent, for kidnapping her? I know she's coming round to it, but it almost feels like. And there was a thing about this that was released, is apparently when Juno Dawson was writing this episode, they didn't know anything about Belinda as a character, just that it was a nurse in their 30s. Didn't know if it was a man or woman, didn't know anything about the character, which makes complete sense, but then maybe we should have had some more script alterations. There's definitely something that's gone on behind the scenes.
Something's
here,
happened.
100%.
Something
in terms of the companion thing, like, I don't know what went on, but the fact that, like, Farada was only on set filming 3 weeks after she was cast. Like, why are we...
What's
like,
happening behind the scenes?
And then now... Yeah, and then now this episode, it's like, oh, they're actually... we've got an inconsistent character a little bit, and lo and behold, Juno Dawson didn't know who this character was going to be before writing this episode. So, again, it makes you think, like, what was going on? Why was there no...
Where was that said, by the way? Where's that come out, about the Juno didn't know much?
I think it was on the Doctor Who website. It was just part of an interview for the episode, I think.
I think after having 5 such strong episodes as well, or what I think is 5 very strong episodes, to have this much of a slip-up warrants something else. This isn't just...
It just feels like there's something missing there. It's like, why would she not be holding the Doctor to account?
Can I pitch an alternate ending and then see how you would feel? Okay, so imagine the episode, as problematic as it is, plays out like this, and instead of the reunion at the end, Belinda has a full-on conversation with the Doctor saying, "No, you need to get me home." Like, I'm like almost off the Doctor completely, and he's like, "Well, the Vindicator's going to work. I've got it." And then the episode ends with a TARDIS blowing up or whatever. If that was how would you feel?
That would have been better. I think that her being angry like that, I think, would have made more sense. If that makes sense, I think to me, it would have made more sense to have her be very angry and kind of almost. She's beginning to shift and come around, and then to literally go completely 180 again.
Yeah, I think
and he could bring
better.
it up. He could say that you were getting used to this, and she goes, "Yeah, that's before I saw what you did to him."
Yeah,
it feels if it does feel a bit inconsistent with Belinda's character, and I get that, but it's like it all piles up. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Doctor not having someone go, "That was wrong," is wrong anyway. I don't even think that's to do with character, though. I think it's like Rose did that in Dalek. Do you know what I mean? It's like we've had character confrontations before where it's like the companion, despite the fact absolutely loving the Doctor, will confront the Doctor when he's gone too far.
Sometimes I think you need someone to stop you, as Donna said.
Yeah, right.
That's what was going in my head when he was
example.
torturing him. I was just thinking of Donna.
It's that, and it's like those are characters that did like the Doctor, right? And then confronted him all the same. So even if Belinda's character wasn't set when they were writing this episode, it's so easy to just go, well, actually, maybe he should be confronted for these things and not be told that. I understand the whole wonderful thing. It's like, oh, he's dead and I didn't even tell him how wonderful he was. That's sweet. And that coming back round is nice. But that context after seeing him violently torture someone for no reason, like, he didn't need to do that. There was no context there as to like, he just did it because he wanted this guy to feel pain.
Didn't he said he was triggered because of the...
He was triggered because of the Time Lords, yeah. So
Because of what the Bastard
this
did.
is how I've seen it differently. So obviously, like the big thing here is outside circumstances are changing how we see it. And like I said, I didn't know the Eurovision stuff quite as, but I had an idea, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know it to a greater degree, and that's probably why it's like struck you quicker than it has me, because I can totally see it now.
But even when I first watched it, it was more reading what the people have said and gone, this is what I've read.
For
and
me,
I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I'm viewing it from. Oh, that's one each. That's one each, everyone. Kill him.
I've marked it.
So, from my perspective, the outside circumstances I'm thinking of are the actual planning of the show itself. It's quite clear from a couple of the drops in this episode that they wanted to remind you, he's the last of the Time Lords, there are no Time Lords left, Time Lords are not alive, so that at the end of the episode they can go, oh, there's another Time Lord here. And I think this whole torturing thing has been done specifically so that he could say, oh, it's because I'm the last Time Lord and I saw the genocide of my people in the genocide, or the trillion level murder this guy was going to do. I saw that, myself and the Time Lords in that. I'm not over that. Also, there's the Susan of it all, which we haven't even got to yet.
Crikey.
I'm supposedly the last of the Time Lords to lead into the finale, and I think they've created this bit now in his torture specifically for that. And because of it, the consequences of what's coming around it are weaker, because they're just trying to write around the fact they want to mention he's the last of the Time Lords. And I think that also is not helped by, but not only about Belinda, because they could have made that confrontation better. And as you say, the whole thing is, Belinda makes the point of, I've not seen him like this. She comes in, she looks visibly horrified at what he's doing. And I was sat there thinking, she's got to hold him accountable for this. And when she didn't immediately, I was like, that's a bit weird. Why hasn't she done that? And then when she does bring it up later, it's kind of like, okay, at least she mentioned it. But I'm also like we've said here, I think it would have been better, as Crispy suggested, for her to go, right, I do think you're wonderful, but I clearly don't know you well enough. This has scared me. I've had enough time to get off. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But I think because they were so focused on, like, Juno obviously had her idea for writing a story, like spoofing Eurovision in whatever way she wanted to. And I think, even though Russell's not credited in it, I think Russell's tapped her on the shoulder and gone, I want to have some Time Lord ties in here because I know what's going on with the rest of this season. We're going to have the Rani, we're going to have, Time Lords coming
100%.
in.
I get
Can
that.
you write a thing like that? And she's maybe, and this is just me assuming, I think she's put that into the episode and some things haven't bedded in well with it because it probably wasn't part of her original plan. That's what was in my head.
But then I consider is like, are we needing to be reminded that he's the last of the Time Lords? Like, I don't think. I know for obviously
maybe it's important context to Belinda specifically, and that's the point.
Maybe yes, but then I don't know. I feel like why add to the list of inconsistencies already? She knew what the TARDIS was without bloody being told it.
Yeah.
She knew what the bloody. It's
True.
like.
Yeah, she did. That was strange.
I have to say, I think this episode does not ponder well to casual fans, so I think he probably could have left out all of the Last of the Time Lord stuff. The Susan Foreman stuff completely bypassed me that entire episode until I opened Twitter afterwards. I had no idea who it was.
I have some level of forgiveness for that.
And the Rani, the Rani, like, for me, I didn't know who the Rani were until the theory started coming out about Mrs. Flood in Series 1. So it's like, and I've spoken about this on all
that's understandable. I think the Rani's a big thing for fans, but my God, she's only been in 2 stories in the 80s.
2 episodes,
you're forgiven.
and a special.
I do worry that that they're beginning to go down the level of it's becoming a bit too fan. Like, they're doing a bit what Star Wars is kind of doing and trying to just, like, pull back and be like, oh my God, Sutek's here, the Ronnie's here, Susan's here.
It's a weird balance. Yeah. I think if they were going directly for fans, it works, right? And that's fine. But because it's like, they're clearly trying to, like, especially with season 1 and I think a little bit of season 2 as well, they're trying to market to a new audience. They're trying to pull in a new generation of kids to enjoy Doctor Who. The Disney Plus idea is there. They are trying to appeal to a new audience, but then you can't appeal to a new audience completely and then bring out Sutek or the Rani and expect these people to know or have any relevance as to who that is. The only thing with the Rani, I'd say, and Susan, that I think is good setup is the Rani was mentioned in Space Babies, so that's cool as a nice, like, through line of, like, this character's there.
I forgot about that.
And
I've never seen that episode again.
He's like, we have...
Yeah, he goes, we had names like the Bishop or the Rani. Yeah,
he has a few, like, lists off a few random Time Lord names. And obviously Susan was heavily mentioned at the end of season 1, which I think is, I think anyone could have predicted maybe that Susan was going to come back for season 2. Russell always said it would be a 2-season arc, and
Troy was on that very early.
It was always
bingo.
As soon as Susan was mentioned in the Devil's Court, I was like, we're close to her.
She's coming back. Yeah. It's been fairly well signposted. Better than a
100%.
Ruby Road signpost at the very least.
No one pointing at it mysteriously. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming, and I can't lie that I was excited by that when I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Rani regeneration?
Yeah. Let's talk
It's
about
not a
it.
regeneration, is it, mate?
Bi-generation.
Bi-generation, isn't it?
I
again. I
love
was fine.
bi-generation so much.
I was fine with the Doctor by generating.
I loved it in the giggle because it's an anniversary thing. It's new. It's different. It's a
Yeah.
one-off. It was the toy maker. Like the rules of reality are bending. There are so many headcanons you can sort of build for that working. But it was. Sorry, lads.
Can I give you the
but
positive
I
man's
hate this.
perspective?
Go on.
So I definitely think the bi-generation wasn't quite as effective this time as in the giggle, because of course it's meant to be a one-off thing, at least. Like from a lore perspective, they shouldn't really keep doing it.
This is the positive
But I
man's
can
perspective.
forgive it here,
Makes me slug
because I
in
think
here.
if you've been building up to Mrs. Flood this entire time, it's not like Mel's in Let's Kill Hitler, where she shows up once and just suddenly rips a song. This is a
Yeah.
character that's been appearing so many times across 2 seasons. If when we get to the crux of it, she's not the main villain, that's going to be a bit weird.
I
But-
understand.
but-
I think that justifies the bi-generation, definitely.
Yes.
I have a problem not with bi-generation, but how they did it.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
It's not so much
I
the
don't
actual act of
think-
it.
yeah, I think her being the main villain, I think, wouldn't have been quite right, because I think Anita Dobson is lovely. I think she's a little too sweet to be, like, super menacing beyond the little absolute terror night.
Absolutely though. I think she.
Oh, all right.
I
Well,
think
either
Anita
way-
Dobson is a like powerhouse actress. She is fantastic.
fab, yeah.
And she could I'd like a little too sweet. It's because she's acting, mate. She can be menacing. She can be as menacing as you want.
All right,
She could be
all
the
right.
next master, and I'd be like, yeah, sign her up.
Well, either way, I'm intrigued by the dynamic of a Time Lord who's clearly got, like, a superiority complex of being like, oh, this inferior version of me, like a previous version is still hanging around. I'm intrigued to see how that
Yeah,
dynamic
that could be
plays out.
interesting.
But I do think
yeah.
that it was so, like, sudden and so kind of, oh, we're just suddenly bi-generation.
Crikey.
Oh, okay, cool. And then he just moved on from it. It was quite strange.
I have so many issues with this.
I have a
so
few.
many
Well, I
issues
have
with
2
this.
issues with the scene itself. The bi-generation doesn't bother me too much, but 2 big issues. First off, I really wish the Doctor and Belinda were there to see it. Now, I can forgive it depending on
Yeah.
how it goes next week, because if next week, the way it's handled and the way they find out, they build off the Mrs. Flood thing, find out it's the Rani, if it's done well there, criticism here is gone. But we don't know.
But
So
it's
right
pop-
now,
but
that's the problem.
that's redundant now because the audience know. The only people
If
it
it's
really
played well
matters
to him, though,
are
it could
us.
still make for a very
I
good
know.
scene. So,
It could be because we see.
did you really want to? It was the wrong anagram again. You know, we could have had a
No, I
Rain
didn't.
Rani
I don't,
thing.
I
We
don't
might
want
still
that,
get
but
actually.
I want a reveal that. Can we really? We can't compare this to Utopia. We can't compare it to Spyfall, to Dark Water. We can't compare it to any other master reveal. We're revealing. Oh, I'm the Rani. Mrs. Flood has been a bit mystery built up over since Church on Ruby Road when she first looked at the camera and said never seen a TARDIS before. And we are revealing it to these 2 random characters who we're never going to see again and have probably no relevance at all. To then do it to the next episode to the Doctor, the moment's gone. We've had the moment. The audience has had the moment of going, oh my god, the Rani's back. So when she goes to the Doctor and goes, I'm the Rani, boom, musical sting, Shooty starts crying and looks shocked. Like, it doesn't matter. We've already
Yeah.
had that moment. The audience have already had that, like, almost ruined. It's always like it's been leaked. I really don't like, it's not even that. It's like the scene itself just, it's so by the numbers, like in terms of how it looked, in terms of how it's shot, in terms of the logic behind, like even the dialogue was clunky. Like I love Mrs. Flood being this sort of campy, mysterious character, and I was excited to who she'd be. Everyone thought she'd be the Rani, and she stumbles out, and it's like.
Oh, I'm
hitting
dying.
point after point after point, and going, oh yeah, I'm dead. My double brainstem froze. Wink. Oh, dangerous for a time lady. Wink. Regenerating. Oh, I guess so. Big battle to do. By
Gotta get some good
generation, and then
final
oh,
words.
and then,
What my final word's gonna be.
I'm the Rani, like, oh, gee, yeah, and the definite article, dangerous terror, off. Oh, sorry. It's...
Dude!
I know, sorry. But
I want to leave this without editing 4 audio tracks. Stop making it so hard for me, please! Please!
It is that frustrating. It is that frustrating where it's like, I don't understand why they thought, this is how we're going to bring back a villain who fans have been wanting and theorizing about for decades to come back for the first time since Dimensions in Time and the EastEnders spin-off. Like, you've got... I think it's a crazy way to do it, and I think it was, for me, so underwhelming. I would have been excited about the Rani coming back, but I was sat there and I just went... Brilliant. Cool.
I think they're doing it like this because they've got bigger things cooking. I mean, we don't have the episode 7 cliffhanger, and I highly doubt that we're going to have a bad cliffhanger now because they revealed this here. My personal inclination is that they've got something cooking that is going to be a big cliffhanger, and they've probably gone, do you know what? Let's reveal the Rani the week before because we've got something bigger to come.
It's going to be Missy or it's going to be Omega, and I'm calling it now.
Well, let's as long as that's not leaked, 'cause I'll kill you both because I know there's leaks flying around right now.
No, I've tried to avoid that. Like,
Can we get that out there right now that you guys haven't looked at leaks? Because we're very non-leaky boys.
Some stuff has flown past me, but I've avoided as best I can.
I've literally avoided Twitter like the plague this week because these last couple of weeks I've dangerously stepped into Doctor Who Twitter.
From what I gather and from what I've heard, most of the ones that are flying around are like false, fake anyway, and are just based on goodwill guesses of what could happen. But I've only seen little things, but nothing major.
Based on, because I know there's this whole thing flying around with the Unholy Trinity photos that they released yesterday. Before we go into all of this, I want to quickly talk about I've got like 3 issues with this whole regeneration thing. If the Master Bi-generates, I'm going to drop kick my monitor. Number one, if the Master Bi-generates, I am drop kicking my monitor.
The only positive about the Master Bi-generating, though, I will say, and I don't like the idea of it. I never want to see Bi-generation again. But the only positive of the Master Bi-generating is we finally end this discourse of where the Sacha Dhawan Master falls in the timeline, and we can just go, John Sim Bi-generated, and it's Missy and Missy Bi-generated then, and it's like she dies and Sacha Dhawan's master lives. That's the only positive I could think of that, because that dialogue has been going on for far too long, and frankly, it doesn't matter.
I will drop kick my monitor. I stand by that. Number two. This might be a hot take, but it's kind of a hot take theory. I kind of hope that we find out that one of the off split of the bi-generation is basically like a one-timer. So, for example, Mrs. Flood couldn't regenerate again. So that's kind of, because I don't like this whole thing about now having
it's the
two Ranis. It's just
it.
like
It's the logic behind it. Russell needs
I don't
to
want
explain
14th
the
Doctor to
logic
be able
of...
to regenerate again. It gets too confusing.
It's like the same things. It's like I think it would be cool if so one half of them basically takes all the regeneration energy. So, for example, David Tennant's Doctor, so the 14th, couldn't now go and regenerate again. Mrs. Flood, being the off-cut, couldn't now go and regenerate again. So at the end of this next 2-parter, at some point Mrs. Flood dies, so we are then left with one Rani again instead of having this 2 Rani situation where it's just a generation after thingy and like it just, I understand like wanting to possibly expand the Time Lords and be able to bring more Time Lords back and stuff like that. And I've seen theories about the bi-generation is happening because it's like how they repopulate, the Time Lords repopulate when they get low numbers and stuff. But
that's a good theory. I saw that, but I still think it's
it's
not
then
explained,
you start treading dangerous ground and all that kind of jazz and stuff. So that's kind of my hope, and I just didn't really. I just find it weird setting up. That's the other thing. How the hell are they going to resolve all this fourth wall breaking? This is my other worry.
That's the big thing.
Other worry is how the Rani is going to be this
Mrs. Flood being
breaking. Like that's my biggest worry, because I know what the rumors were floating around when the series started, and that made sense. However,
like Mrs. Flood was going to be like a god of stories,
like a god of stories and stuff. That made sense. Whereas now, I personally don't think that makes sense. So all this fourth wall breaking, all this...
Unless the Rani is ascended to godhood like Sutek did, and we're recycling the same story from Empire of Death.
Maybe.
Yeah. But then how the hell do you like wrap that story up so it makes sense going into other seasons? Because if you aren't going to get rid of the Rani, you're literally going to have a god fourth wall breaking being for the rest of time in Doctor Who. Especially if you want to reuse the Rani. These are my worries.
Again, this is a character that's only been used twice, so it's not someone that's going to come back tons of times.
We hope.
Wow.
Well, is Sutek going to come back again? Let's be serious here. Maybe he shows at the end of this season if we because it's all like a 2-season arc. But I think he was sufficiently dealt with. I don't really expect him to come back again.
The Rani for me though, like with it being,
I don't want the Rani to die at the end of this season. I want her to kind of like have a camp little wave and run off into the TARDIS and disappear.
with them being a Time Lord,
That's
it's
all
like
I want.
with them being a Time Lord, to me, it's like it's a massive situation where they aren't going to just get rid of. She isn't going to be the big bad for one season. She's going to be a recurring person.
Yeah. Do you think
Whether that's
she's
as a
going to be a
companion,
big
whether that's
bad?
as a-
Do you think she's going to be evil, though? Because the impression I've always got from the Rani is it's more of like a experimental kind of scientific point of view, as opposed to being like Sutek, where it's objectively like he just wants to kill everything ever.
I don't think big bad. I think with
I'm
this,
interested as to the angle they go with.
I think with this season, it's set up as a big bad, or at least a bad. Whereas if you, well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you don't kill off the Rod, like maybe in the future she's a companion for a season. Maybe she constantly is kind of that switching sides kind of thing. She pops up every once in a while. Like with it being a Time Lord, I just don't see her being used for this story and then not again. If that makes sense, because I think they're kind of wanting to do this. It's almost like a master for the new generation, really.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
putting the master on pause for a bit and using the Rani I think is a good idea. I think the casting of the Rani I think is very good. I think I already got a great impression from that first scene where I'm like, yeah, that's the Rani, right?
Yeah,
I love. Yeah, I love all of that, and I am excited for how they use the Rani in the finale, and the fact that we've got 2 whole episodes to let that breathe is great. It's very series 3, where it's like we get the reveal out of the way in the episode 6, and then we get episode 7 and 8 just to sort of bask in this character who we haven't seen in ages, as opposed to Sutek, where the reveal's at the end of episode 7 and we get just episode 8 to wrap it all up.
Yeah. Damn. Troy.
I feel like we've completely overrun this podcast.
Sorry, we've
No, that's fine. That's everyone. Troy.
It's hard being the one who liked it in the 4. I'm feeling very worn down.
Why did you love this episode?
I don't even know anymore.
Troy, you're allowed to like
You're
it.
allowed to. Don't get.
You're not
I
evil
genuinely
for
just, my
enjoying an
brain's
episode
not,
of Doctor
it's
Who.
not on anymore.
I can list off
It's
a bunch of things that I enjoyed about this episode.
I will say my only problem, if we're sticking with the Rani thing, my only issue, my biggest one with it, because like I said, the thing of, the reveal's been spoiled for the audience, depending on how that's played out, I'm alright with it for now. I can revisit that problem next week if I don't think it's been aptly handled. My only concern is I think the music did not respond well to the reveal of the Rani. The name dropped. The music didn't like lull for a second to let us say it so it could be some big thing. It felt almost like she was trying to say it over the music. And it was kind of a very quick one and done thing, and there wasn't even a big change to it. Like, she's just said a big Time Lord name we've not heard for 30 years. This is a big moment. I don't feel like that. And one thing I'll say, the music of this episode, I think there was some really strong stuff from Murray Gold.
Yeah, Dougie Doo.
I think the composition was really good. But that moment,
I agree with what you mean.
Like,
I actually really liked his theme for the Rani, if you will. I thought that was very
the theme was good,
like,
but it just felt like he'd written the whole thing irrespective of the scene and plunked it in the edit.
True.
Like, it didn't respond
probably
to what she was saying, and I was like, it's a bit odd. Like you talk about the Spyfall Master reveal, which is one of my favourite cliffhangers in Doctor Who. The music very clearly adapts to what's being said at different moments, whereas here it just didn't. It genuinely, like I said, it felt like she was trying to talk over the music. Like the music's like going like, someone said it kept going Rani, Rani. I didn't quite hear that.
What?
But imagine it's going like Rani, Rani, and then she goes the Rani, and it's like the music's still going Rani, Rani. It's like it just felt very like that for me. I was like, is that all we're doing? Okay. That was one thing I had. I was like, that was strangely handled. Everything else I can write off for now, depending on how the 2-part finale does. But for now, that is one thing the finale won't change. I'm like,
my hope is that the Rani is the one pulling strings, like to explain the fourth wall breaking. Like, I hope it's at that. I hope the Rani's behind allowing the gods to come into the universe. It wasn't the salt, but it was something like that. I hope the Rani was the one that picked up the Master's gold tooth.
The salt.
But I want.
That'll definitely be. Conrad's 100% going to take the essence of the Master at the start of that episode.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't want it to happen.
It's almost like you're going like, and people
happens.
were saying about this, like Conrad could be like a vessel for the Master's body or something.
I think Conrad will be in a vessel, and then he'll regenerate into a Master we already know.
Keeper of Traken.
Well, this is because they're teasing like the unholy trinity as the villain for the 2-part finale.
Holy
But they've already kind of said now the unholy trinity is they've released a picture of the two Ranis and Conrad together and said that's the unholy trinity, which I don't know if I believe.
But Russell did post something on Instagram, which as
did he
always,
now?
Oh my
do you know when
gosh.
Russell just tends to just go in any interview weeks in advance and go, do you want spoilers for like just everything? So he But he's sort of
spoilery is
implied.
this? How
Hang on, where
spoilery
are
is
we
this?
going
Where
here? Where
not
are
too
we
bad.
going here?
It's not too bad. He posted a photo of the three of them, the two, well, Mrs. Flood, the Rani, and Conrad, and sort of gave a little bit of a preview for next week. And just a part of that, he said, "Enemies old and new unite as the Doctor faces the unholy trinity. This is only 2/3 of the trinity. The two Ranis count as one, because I say so. The third is lying in wait, exactly 160 years away."
Oh.
So, what do we think of that?
I'm
have no
slightly
idea.
worried because I kept seeing people throwing a name on Twitter yesterday, and I really hope it wasn't a leak, because if it is, I'm going to be extremely
don't,
What
annoyed.
did you hear?
don't say anything.
Don't say it.
I'm not saying
anything.
it. I'm not saying it
I've
because
been
I heard it and I
so
was
good at
like,
avoiding
in fact,
everything.
I'm
I
sending
avoided
it to
everything.
you two in our Discord, so Crispy doesn't see. That's
Oh,
what
that's
I've
fun.
heard.
The Australian gets
I have no
left
idea
out.
who that
No, I'm
is.
kidding.
I
George, is there any
no idea
credence
who
to that?
is.
Please tell me there's not.
I haven't heard
Okay,
from
good,
a,
because
from a
I'm
leak.
hoping it's a theory, but I saw that more than once and went, oh god.
But the thing
It'd
is,
be no
because
idea who it
I
is.
don't know all the
I'll
leaks, it
reveal
could
next
be...
week, by the way. Someone remind me, I will reveal next week. I'm not keeping it hidden from everyone.
I wouldn't be completely shocked,
Yeah.
but
I don't know the context around that, though.
because
I
it's
only
like,
know
look,
the name.
if we're without saying too much, in my mind is like, we're getting a lot of these mad fan theories from the last 10, 15 years are kind of coming true now, where it's
Yeah.
like, when you wait around and predicting every mysterious woman is going to be Susan Foreman or the Rani, and then we get both of them in the
You'll
same
get
episode.
it. Yeah, wowie.
You know,
It's
so
too
I
much.
wouldn't be surprised if the finale and the final two, because there's 2 episodes left, that we get some other character or that has big significance in Doctor Who's history. I don't know what that would be. The other one I heard was that my personal theory was actually Michelle Gomez, but that's simply down to the fact that she was at the premiere
premiere,
screening.
yeah.
But
Which is
and that
strange.
And
wouldn't
now Joe Martin was in
that
there.
wouldn't
kinda
have any
leads more
weight. That
credence
wouldn't
to the
have any
clowning
weight.
Of, oh, are they in the episode?
Yeah, it wouldn't have any weight, but so was Joe Martin, so was Carol Ann Ford, and it's now like, well, why was Michelle Gomez just randomly there?
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't know.
I'll happily take Missy coming back. I just didn't
Yeah.
expect it. So
I
we'll
reckon they
see.
should just tank the rest of this season. The last 2 episodes should be.
Oh, don't put it past him, he probably will.
The Master and the Rani corrupting the Doctor, and then it turns out that the Master, the Rani, and the Doctor are the Unholy Trinity. The whole Unholy Trinity. You end the series on a massive cliffhanger where the Doctor turns evil, and they're like this evil
Well-
trio who travel throughout the galaxy,
well-
and then just binge the show and just
This-
leave it. And have
a lot of
more
credits.
time
Well, a
jump.
lot of people had this idea, and this is very theory based from this episode of you've got bi-generation in the 60th, right? You had the Doctor sort of split in two. You got your 14 who's sort of somewhere on Earth, and you've got Ncuti's Doctor who's been obviously the main Doctor we're following. We have examples like in this episode where he's just torturing someone, sure. Are we leading to a fan favourite theory of...
The Valiard.
Are we going towards the Valiard here?
Can you imagine
Whoa.
if the 15th isn't the 15th? Can you imagine this?
If they turn this version of
I
the Doctor
did see
into
someone
the Valiard.
suggest that bi-generation could be heading towards the Valiard, which can we explain
Honestly-
to people who don't know who the Valiard is?
The
Yeah.
Valiard is an evil version of the Doctor, effectively.
What can I just say? The last 20 minutes have been theorizing for next week. But this is
Can I
perfect.
just say,
Theorising
right?
for
Can I
this
just say,
aren't gonna happen.
is that not a good thing? Like,
no,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
For the
I'm excited.
reveal.
I'm still excited about the finale, and I think there's a lot to be talked about.
I'm
and
incredibly excited.
I just think that this episode was heavily flawed in terms of how they set some stuff up, like the Rani and
is
Susan.
there-
But I like where we're going with this.
Yeah, is there anything that the next 2 episodes can do that would slightly redeem this episode for you?
A better Rani reveal to the to the Doctor. A better Rani reveal, like a one that actually feels like it has the source.
And I still
I
think we could
knew
get
that
that.
was
I know
coming.
you're
I
saying,
knew.
I know you're saying, oh, the audience already knows, and yeah, that's true. But I do think there's more credence to be had to the fact that if it's revealed well to the Doctor, it can make up for it.
I know.
I'd stand by that.
I get that. I just think it's like but it's like even compared to like Utopia, right? When the Master reveals in Utopia, there isn't a moment where the Doctor gets that like reveal and is like, it's a big moment. He just he when he gets back to the TARDIS works out that it's the Master and is like but like, let me help you, where the last one's left. But the reveal is when the Master reveals to the audience, looking dead down the camera, going like, "I am the Master," and
I want
zaps.
a
what's
really
her
corny slow-mo Rani reveal for the Doctor. I want like Mrs. Flood to have like this conversation. The music starts to build, and then Mrs. Flood goes, "I am a Rani," and then the camera cuts to like the shoes of the Rani walking in slow-mo around a corner, and you cut to the
Wow.
Doctor's face like that. And then you show him walk around a corner as the music picks up. That's what I want.
It's not going to happen.
Contradiction on Euphoria, on Utopia. When I watched it, I had no idea who the Master is, and I
Same.
still love that cliffhanger and still rate it home as one of the best ones. I don't think the reveal of the Master was the big thing.
No.
I think the Yana, "You are not alone, there's another Time Lord" was the biggest shock there.
But that
is harder to replicate because we can't keep doing the "there's another Time Lord." So
Yeah.
if that's the cliffhanger, I'm not saying it's you, but like for people who are looking like that, if that's the cliffhanger you're chasing something that's never going to happen. We're never going to get
I understand
that.
that.
Same
You
kind
just
of
have to
cliffhanger
compare
again.
it to like the other examples we've got, not just Utopia, but
Yeah.
again, Dark Water, Spyfall. In different eras, we've had different reveals like this, and it feels like every single one manages to get the moment bang on. Whereas in this one, it's like we've had this slow build-up of who is Mrs. Flood? Are there any more Time Lords out there? The Doctor's the last of the Time Lords. We've been mentioning this quite a few times in the last two seasons to get to a point where
But-
Mrs. Flood just stumbles out and goes, "Brainstem, Time Lady,
Yeah.
the Rani." Like
But-
it's.
Not even bush, it's
Doctor,
bum.
the Doctor is not aware of Mrs. Flood's presence in that way. He's spoken to her, like, once? As just an old elderly neighbour. He doesn't even know that she's been popping up. And Belinda doesn't even realise that she's been popping. Belinda doesn't know that Mrs. Flood was playing a part with Ruby because she's just,
I know,
she's
and I
Belinda's
get
neighbour.
that. It's very much for the
So
audience.
I genuinely
I
do
agree with
firmly
that.
think that this cliffhanger, even though it's been building up a long time for us as the audience, I wonder if in the grand scheme of the story it's actually going to matter as much because there's something more coming that's going to pay off bigger. Because
I
Dark
think you might be
Water
right,
and
yeah.
Spyfall and Utopia, they were all opening parts of the final story. The Interstellar Song Contest is not technically.
Hmm.
The Interstellar Song Contest is more
Yeah.
like you turn left. It's not part of the finale story, but it leads into it.
I agree with you on this point, and because especially Mrs. Flood is more for the audience. But I will say that I do believe strongly that Utopia is part of that final, like, arc.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I
That's
think
fine. But that's like,
yeah.
that's been built to the Doctor as well. Though he was told there are more. You're not alone, and
Yeah,
he's had that
100%,
fizzing
yeah.
in his brain all season.
I like to think in my mind that it's like how the
Positivity's coming back. I'm fighting. I'm fighting my corner.
I get it. For me, I'm like, it's still it's not, even if it was just done to the audience. Even it's not whether the Doctor's there or not. Utopia proves you can do it without the Doctor being there, but. It's like, it's how it's done. It was tacked on to the end of the episode after the credits started rolling, and it's so quick-paced. I found a lot of times this season that when the episode ends, we could have let the beat last a little bit longer. I don't know if you remember, like, in Lux, when, like, Mrs. Flood's like, oh, like, limited run and all that sort of thing. Her last line, as soon as she finishes talking, the credits are on like that, and it's like, God, we feel like we're like rushing into it. And it's same here, like we're like fighting to keep up with the 50-minute limited runtime, where it's like I just feel like we shouldn't be. We could just let things breathe a little bit and have a bit of time to digest. Where it's like instead of her going, brainstem time lady, bang, Rani, like.
No, it's my biggest
don't know.
critique this era is the end title, like it's like it comes at lightning fast. Like, do you remember the end of is it Pandorica opens and the world's ending and it just goes quiet and then it fades to black.
Yes.
And then you get the that is like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievably. Can you imagine TARDIS doors poof fade to black, let it set for a second.
Yeah.
Something like that. I feel like, anyway, that's just, it's
It
not
was
my
like,
biggest
it was
critique,
too,
but one of.
it's so no, but it's something that I've noticed as well. It's so quick. We're rushing to the credits on almost every episode. It's like we're trying to cram in everything, and that is all to do with BBC sort of time restraints. I understand that, but it's like in an age of streaming where the majority of the world are watching it on Disney Plus, why can't we just and obviously iPlayer as well. I'd love it if we could just try and have a bit more freedom. Like most streaming shows nowadays, to compete with the modern streaming market, you've got shows that some episodes are 50 minutes, some episodes are an hour 20, some episodes are less, some episodes are more. There's not as much restriction on what runtimes can be for episodes of a TV show anymore. Yet Doctor Who seems to be fixated on fixing everything to 45 minutes to 50 minutes.
That is
And
interesting.
we do see that a lot, where, especially at the minute, where we're cramming in so much, and then final line of dialogue as quickly as you can get the end credits in, they'll bring it in. And it's like, I felt like, especially with this Rani reveal, like it's the same thing. We're rushing to get to the point where we can get the credits up, get all the tick box of like all the things that need to be said before we can move on to the next episode. I don't know. I just feel like there's ways and means of doing a reveal like that could have been better. And even if she'd just stumbled upon him or walked up to him at the end of the episode, and he's like, "Hang on, what are you doing here? I saw you like once on Earth." It doesn't have to be like a thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing of like, "Oh, I've seen you in all these places," like Susan Triad was. But it's like, "Hang on, you're Ruby's neighbour. What are you doing in the middle of space?" Yeah, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well, that sort of thing." And then she reveals it, and she bi-generates. I know she was waiting for the Doctor to not be there, which I think is an interesting detail. Where's that gonna go? Like, are we still trying to keep the fact that she's returning a secret to the Doctor? Because she was like, "Well, is he gone? Is he gone? Is he gone?"
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think there's more to this. I think it's too soon to say that.
There's more. There's probably more to it, but I think the initial impression I'm like is, "Wow, that was."
That's what I'm saying. I think people need to sit with it longer. I think people need to sit with it longer and see how it plays out in episode 7.
We'll see.
I think people are too quick to assume, like, and I'm not even saying it directly to you. I think that's just part of the world we live in now, is that people are so quick to assume with reveals and things that this is all we're going to get. This is all the information we're going to have. We're not going to build on or change or the reveal that's going to beat it.
The same with anything like that. We will get more context and information, but that oomph comes in the initial reveal, and I feel like it wasn't the same caliber as other reveals we've had in the show's history in terms of big moments, whether that be the Master or whether that be like River Song revealing to be like Melody Pond. Is like a lot of these have time to build up and they look great, and that for the biggest budget episode in the show's history, you would have thought that the big fan moments like that would have been given the most focus and attention. I think it comes down to the fact that
the Doctor's not found out at the same time as us. I think you can put any other dressing over, but I think that is the issue. But we'll have to just see how it plays out.
We'll work out how that plays out. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I think it's too soon to say.
I really liked the scene where the Doctor's in space with the confetti cannon. I thought that was pretty good.
I thought that was great. That was fun.
I love this episode. I still do. I feel worn out, but I still love it. It's not changed my mind.
Yeah, as I say, my biggest problem is with the politics. Like the other stuff in the episode, I was like, this is good. Like the confetti cannon was great. Seeing Susan I was genuinely like gobsmacked.
I loved it.
That was so out of nowhere. That was great.
And people making comparisons to Rogue because they both said "find me." So maybe there could be a Rogue reference. So that could just be convenient writing. It could entirely be just a coincidence.
Part of me feels like everything's tied together.
Let's go.
I like that we had side characters that played a part of the story.
Cooper,
I don't know what you just said, and it's probably to the best.
He was like, he was like, Rogue is Susan Foreman. Let's go. I'm like,
the only foreman here are the 4 men in this call.
Whoa, nice.
So I thought that joke earlier. Still thought it was terrible. I don't know why I said it. I like that we had side characters that actually had a part in the story.
Yeah, that was
I like that Gary and Mike was so integral to it. I like that Cora was so heavily involved and was also a Hellion as well and had her own experience and was able to do her part by the end of the episode. Like, different people will argue with the effectiveness of singing like the Hellion song.
Yeah,
I thought that was beautiful. Personally, I really loved that.
Really good. Yeah,
I think it was gorgeous. I also just never been the biggest Rylan fan in the world. Don't dislike him, but I've never really seen much of him. I thought he fit perfectly in this. He was a really good choice.
Who is this?
They joked
host?
about his teeth.
Rylan. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Joking about his teeth was hilarious, considering that was like, who was it on our podcast, Chris? We made a joke about the teeth earlier in the season.
Oh, really?
Someone did.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I love that was one of the first jokes. How's my teeth? Grin. I was like, okay, he's played into it. And cool. We brought you back from the dead. Story of my career.
Yeah.
I liked the charisma he had. He was brilliant.
He's great. Actually, yeah.
I loved Dark 15. We can argue the circumstances of it. Another one I've thought of though is Face the Raven. That's come to mind. Capaldi went furious at me for just endangering Clara's life. So the anger there. I know there's the circumstances, the setup.
And then Clara stopped him.
Clara did, but Belinda wasn't there to stop him, and I think that was interesting. That's what I loved about that. I loved seeing the Doctor go off the rails because there wasn't a companion there to stop him. That's Waters of Mars. That's the Runaway Bride. That's all those to me.
I did like him going off the rails. I just wanted comeuppance for it, but I did like in isolation. I was like, wow, amazing! Can't wait to see how they deal with this.
I think the problem is when you got an episode that's going to be either spoofing feels like the wrong word, but for lack of a better term, spoofing on something that has big political connotations right now, especially something that's still becoming more politically debated, even as this episode comes out and afterwards. I mean, literally, the Eurovision right after, Israel got second place.
Yeah.
The UK gave them 12 points. I'm saying these things not to comment on them, just to say that they happened.
Yeah.
But like, it's constantly evolving. That will then give you a lens that if you're thinking about it, which I wasn't immediately thinking about it in that scene, but you've said it and I totally get it now. It's like, that's going to take you out of it too. But to me, I saw this is the Doctor being dark. He's being unfair. Like, this man was about to kill 3 trillion people. I would say that, like, the justification of, like, I'm striking back, I kind of get it, but also, you're always meant to be better. I don't love that the 11th Doctor, like, killed off Solomon in Dinosaurs and Spaceship. It's always been one I've been a bit funny about. But again, that's the Dark Doctor. That's him having one of those rare moments where he steps out and he's more violent than he should be. But I like that the companion wasn't there to stop him. I think my problem is, as we've said, that when she does show up, we don't get enough of a confrontation on that front.
100%. And I think you're completely right. And if it wasn't within the context of a Eurovision episode where the conversations around genocide are so real and happening right now, like, sorry.
Number 3.
So sorry.
I'll let you off because there's some very important context you're talking about here.
It's one of those things where, it is a very real thing. That is a very real genocide happening right now, and this episode is playing off some elements of that, but playing it safe as well, because the BBC probably can't let them get away with being too critical of anything be airing just before Eurovision actually airs on TV. So there's other things which I do understand. I'm not pointing at Juno Dawson or Russell T Davies and going, wow, you're awful. I'm just being like, this is... I just wouldn't have... either if you're going to do the Dark Doctor stuff, like, fine. Like, I love it. But within the context of this, it has that added thing of maybe just explore how anyone could potentially read this, because people could have just watched it and be like, yeah, this is great, and I love that element of it. Because if it was any other episode or context, I'd probably love it as well. But the context of the real-world events that are happening around it, that are being very loosely addressed at best, but, again, the context of the Doctor torturing this guy who is, like, the survivor of a genocide to a corporation who are getting all the glory and praise at this big event. It's not as on the nose as first meets the eye. And I just think that if you're going to do that, the Doctor doing that to that character, and I understand it's like the context of what's happening in the story, but it was written. Those events were written that way. You know, the character was built to do that, to threaten that many people, to do that, to have the Doctor do this. And it's like, I just don't enjoy that was the thought process of, let's do a Eurovision episode and then let's do this plot point.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So, but I love Dark Doctor. I love, again, Face the Raven, one of my, like, great... I don't even mind the Solomon thing. I actually enjoy it. It's, like, it's exciting and it's scary and it's different. I do like that. I just think that added wider context of what's going on in the world and what actually happens at Eurovision and what we're platforming is
I think how in tune you are with it and how much it's at the front of your mind will gravely impact how much you're watching this. And I don't watch a lot of Eurovision. I know the critiques online, but I don't watch it, so I'm not directly engaged with that space. So it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. My forefront was, why are we bringing up the Time Lords and all that? I'm thinking of the context of the show's overarching
100%.
plot.
And that's fair. That's fair enough. And I didn't want to make it too politically heavy in this, but it's just something that can't almost be avoided with this episode, because it's directly trying to do that. It's weird.
Well,
our callers are weird too. Let's listen to them for a second.
I just noticed we're going for an hour. This is going to be a long episode, people. Strap in.
I mean, we can. I've listened to a few. Let's listen to someone that thought this was a perfect episode. Hi, Jim.
Please. I need that. I need it so much.
I need to hear this.
Hello,
10 out of
Jim.
10.
Oh, it was fabulous! Yes, this is what we should have had last week. 10 out of 10. It was perfect!
Thank you, Jim.
Sorry.
What do you mean last week, my
What do you
guy?
mean last week?
Jim didn't like last week's, did he? I forget that.
Last week was like
Perfect. 10 out of 10.
I'm sorry, last week was the best episode of the series for me, and this one was the worst of the series for me.
Wow.
So I don't know. I'm not on the same level.
Yeah.
Shut up. All right, next caller, Crispy. Next caller.
Oh gosh.
Well, hang on. I see Tori there, or Tori said that you've noted that they loved it, and this is a 30-second call, so we might get some justification.
Okay, yeah, let's justify Jim's comments. Here we go. Hi, Tori.
I think that was a great episode, actually. I was speechless for a really long time. I saw Susan, cried. I could not stop crying. I loved the message of it. I loved the plot of it in itself. I loved how dark the Doctor got. I love when that happens, like Waters of Mars-esque. The Rani, yes, no notes. I have no notes.
Wow. It's
good.
Yeah, feel very similar.
It's validated. It's all about, isn't it? It's like I think you can have different readings of it, and if you have a good reading or a bad reading, it's like you can read this episode and love it, and that's valid, and you can read this episode and not like it, and that's completely valid as well.
If this was like the anti-Grav Olympics, what would you guys think of the episode?
Probably better.
Okay, that's interesting.
If it wasn't something that's so. What do you mean, like if it was a different event?
Yeah, if it wasn't the Interstellar Song Contest.
If it didn't have
that you couldn't make as many real life comparisons to, I suppose, is the
question.
question.
You remove the wider context. I mean, it's still weird that the Doctor doesn't get comeuppance for torturing someone.
Correct.
But it would be better, massively better, without that outside of world context.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. All right. Let's have a look at
so many calls.
Bi-generated crispy.
Okay, cool. Wow, I forgot that I bi-generated. I wonder how my other half's doing. Hello.
Banger of an episode. The Rani reveal was really awkward. You know, they could have just made it a little more of a wet fart if they wanted to, I guess. And Crispy, I think that you should submit David Tennant as my dad for the 804th Interstellar Song Contest. It'll definitely beat like Dugadoo and My Big Feet or whatever the hell they were singing about.
Don't you dare diss Dugadoo!
That's a good point, actually, though. Could there have been any other, like, past Doctor Who monsters and aliens in the audience or, being represented
Janice Goblin.
Janice
Goblin herself.
Which we're going to touch on in the bingo, so let's leave that for later.
Oh.
Oh,
okay.
I do wish that they'd had some older monsters taking part.
I just wanted to see a Slovene.
I'm surprised there were no old monsters in the audience. That did surprise me.
I just wanted to see
Carpenter.
one. Slovena Carpenter, where was she?
Oh, don't give Dr. Master more to go off. Don't you dare. Did she call in? Because if she's called in and mentioned
Dr.
Slovena
Master did
Carpenter, I
call.
swear
She's
to
our
God.
first one.
Where I got it from.
She's a minute long. Do we want to listen?
Go on, she might make the... Did
right.
she like the episode? Do you remember? Did you hear any of it?
I don't know.
Did I hear this? Cool.
Yeah.
I heard at the start of it and was like, oh, yep, that's Dr. Master for sure. Here we go.
Okay,
Hi.
yeah. All week she's been joking that she wanted Slovena Carpenter to sing because, of course, she's obsessed with Sabrina Carpenter. So,
so are these two boys.
Hang on.
So are these two.
You can't say that.
Whoa.
Come on.
I
Nostalgia
like
bit.
Sabrina
Come on.
Carpenter too. I'm commenting on her obsession, that's all.
Yeah,
Chill out.
and our
Chill
obsession.
out, boys.
It's
This
valid.
is friendly fire.
All right.
Friendly fire.
Dr. Master,
Chill.
hi.
Chill.
Hi guys! Started Slovena Carpenter snub deserved the win. But anyway, I think it was a fun story. I think it was kind of your typical Doctor Who story, but it felt really well written. I loved Juno Dawson. I think the characters were really fleshed out well. The side characters were great. I don't get why we are getting the random Susan flashbacks. They're doing that again. She kind of looked like she was in a VT for Big Brother, but like, a bit random. I feel like if they're gonna do something with it, they should have sprinkled it a bit more and like the why this is happening a bit more throughout the episodes. And then of course the big one, Mrs. Flood's the Rani. It kind of feels a bit lackluster now because everyone's been saying it for ages, but I think it's nice to see it happen again. And also Bi-generation, which I hate. I'm so done with it. Can we just go back to the normal regeneration? I don't like having so many Time Lords at once. But yeah, I love the episode. Great.
Wow.
I feel like that call started so up here and just very quickly plummeted.
It did, but went back up. She did say she loved it at the end.
I love the Slovena Carpenter reference. Great. I knew
That's
that
my
was going to
headcanon.
happen. The whole thing with Susan being like a Big Brother VT is so accurate.
That's so
This
funny.
was, I think she mentioned
Hi,
this
guys.
in my live stream chat the other day.
Susan
And I was like,
Fawley.
it is honestly like And for some of it, I do love, because we haven't really talked about it, I do love that Susan's back, and that jaw dropping at first. But do you not think, like, it kind of is a bit random, like, kind of just randomly cutting to her, and I kind of made the comparison of her just kind of, like, mewing into the camera, like, standing in the TARDIS.
Don't ever say she was mewing again.
Maybe that
This
is
her
an
Big
old
Brother
woman,
VT,
bless
and maybe
her
we're going
heart,
all the way
showing
back up in the show.
Eccleston's,
no, Cooper, sorry, you probably got a valid point. I'm not letting George get away with saying that Susan Foreman was mewing in the camera.
Was, like, freezing in space, and she was like, grandfather.
No, stop it!
Grandfather.
Stop, Cooper.
Grandfather.
You're hopefully far more intellectual point
maybe
than
it was.
Find me.
Maybe it was her Big Brother VT, and maybe it's like an Eccleston situation where they're going to do Big Brother again, and like
Yeah,
she's
like
actually
in Satellite
stuck in
5.
Big Brother.
Oh, God. I think the thing is, this
crikey.
episode is clearly so heavily integrated with the early two-parter, even though it's not part of the story. It's like a turn left. It's going to lead into
We're going to see
the
Susan.
two-parter, and I genuinely think it is a case of we have got so much going on in the two-part finale already. We need to see this stuff earlier, and so they're teasing some of this stuff in episode 6. I genuinely think, and it's.
Sorry, go on, finish.
I was going to say, it's similar to what I said to Crispy at the end of season 1, like, because he had some concerns and things, and we had a couple of, like, you know,
Just a
how
few.
season 1 ended and how there were unanswered questions, and I made the case of, this is a 2-season arc. Russell kept saying it. Some things may get answered in season 2 that will improve season 1 in hindsight, and I think that once we've seen the two-parter, some of the critiques we have for how Susan appears or how the Rani is revealed, I genuinely think we may feel differently in 2 weeks' time. So
Honestly,
that's why I'm kind of, like,
I'm open
holding back on that.
I'm open to change my opinion on those two things.
Good, because your opinion sucks. Sorry.
The council disagrees, my guy.
This is a guest. This is a guest on our
So
podcast. If
I
we
don't
clip
care.
that,
I'm sad.
we had never got there's a very real chance that we could get Carol Ann Ford on this podcast, and if she sees that clip of you going, your opinion
true.
sucks, she's not going to come on. She's not going to come on
Yeah,
this
to
podcast.
someone who said she was mewing. What are you on about?
Maybe she was. Maybe that was the note.
She wasn't.
Maybe that was the
She'll be
director
like,
note.
she'll be like, oh, they recognize the fact that I was mewing in that episode. I'll come on to this podcast. She'll come on the podcast, and you'll be like, welcome to our very special guest, Carol Ann Ford, and she's like, what's up, boys?
Hey,
Kill me.
you can find
Kill
me
me.
on Instagram.
Find me in Big Brother.
Find me.
I have a feeling that the Susan Foreman stuff isn't going to be resolved this season, and it's
Oh, it should
this
be.
whole
Sure.
Find
It will
Me
be.
thing
Has
is
to be.
going to be the next
will
arc.
be.
I
It will be.
I think this could be the,
Well, I
the
think we're
3, 4,
broken
the
Troy.
series 3 and 4
what
arc.
do you think about
broken
the
it.
theory that Susan is Belinda?
Rubbish.
I've seen this as well.
Rubbish.
Knock it the hell off. We're not doing that. And if
Rubbish.
we are doing that, it's going to be awful.
Hey,
She
Troy.
knew
Troy.
what the TARDIS was before hearing it.
Damn it, she's
What?
Susan. Yeah, she's Susan.
She's Susan.
Troy, get that bingo card out. I think it's time to play bingo. We gotta.
Play the jingle, Chris.
One more jingle. Everyone dance. Oh yeah.
Nobody's dancing here. other
I'm
than Chris.
dancing.
Okay, George.
Everyone in the car as they drive. Yeah, now we're dancing. Hey, welcome back to Bingo, everyone. Everyone's favorite segment, where at the start of the season, you and us predicted some things that were going to happen in season 2 of Doctor Who, and it's our worst bingo card yet. Let's have.
Can I go out on a limb and say I'm starting to disagree because I'm starting to see things get crossed off
What?
that I
Are
didn't
you
think
serious?
would.
Yeah.
It's been a dry
I don't
couple
think this
weeks.
card's as bad. I'm going to make a case for it. Maybe it's my need to push some positivity today, but I'm like, I think we're turning this around.
Okay, well,
I think we're turning this around.
we see, folks? What can we see?
Well, first off, the viewers at home, 3, 2, 1. Here's where the bingo card currently stands, so you can see where we're up to. If you're on audio platforms, by the way, sucks to be you, because
see
you
a
can't
couple.
see this. I'm not reading the bingo card out. I'm not doing
There's
that.
definitely a few to tick off here.
There are a few to tick off this time. I would argue I'm going to make a case for 3 being ticked off, and I think we have the potential for 2 more depending on how the next episodes go.
I'm more confused about what's already been ticked off.
Okay, so which ones are you confused by?
14th Doctor returns?
Yeah.
He's on a screen and story in the engine.
Daleks?
Fair.
Mention of the
Shooty mentions
Daleks last
Daleks and
week.
story in the engine.
Well, he's like Daleks, Weeping Angels, Cybermen.
Mentioned.
We realised Daleks were not going to show up. They were in the middle space. So once he said the word Dalek, we
We were
took
like,
it
yep.
as
We're
we're
like, yep, we're
crossing
doing
it
it.
off.
All right, fantastic. Well, we've got so many of these to tick off then.
Can I just point out the fact that best episode is guest written isn't ticked off is a
Yeah,
disgrace
that's
after last week's
shocking,
episode.
actually.
No,
Like,
because
we gotta see.
we're
We
going to
gotta
go
see
back
for the
to that,
finale.
and we're going to talk
Yeah,
it
gotta
over
wait
at the end
till
of
the
the
There's a
finale,
season.
chance. There's a
On the last
chance.
episode was written by Russell.
Yeah, no, as in,
Yeah, we're
as
in
in the
trouble.
best episode of the
Yeah.
season is guest written. So we
Ah.
don't know, yeah.
Oh, you think? Okay.
Once
yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen the two-part
Okay.
finale, we can make a
Yeah.
fair judgment. I know most people are going to go, the finale won't be as
Okay,
good,
okay.
but we're
It won't
going
be.
to see.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And I love me a good finale, so...
Yeah.
Okay, well, what are we ticking off?
I mean,
Let's go for one of the obvious ones. We've talked enough about it. The Rani returns can be
sure.
crossed off.
Yeah. There's two of them.
Moving swiftly on
Must
from
have
that,
blinked and missed that.
we can also talk Susan Foreman returns.
Yeah.
Cross that off.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, anyone else got any final thoughts on that? I'm just glad that she's there. I mean, except for obviously she was showing up. Didn't expect her in this episode. Thought it was a great twist.
I don't think there's a
I was
result
like,
this
ooh.
season. That's my final. I think that's.
You think
I
what?
think that's the next arc. I think
I
Susan
think
Foreman
they'd be,
and
I
Rogue's
think
the
they'd be
next arc.
brave. I think they'd be brave to not resolve it in the
I
next two
think
episodes.
the problem is
and bring
you've got
Caroline
it's kind of like I
Force
mentioned earlier.
in.
Yeah, it's a 2-season arc. Like this is the thing I'm heavily riding on, and this is also her showing up now is not. This is the first mention of Susan. She's been mentioned since, as whoever said it earlier, I think George said,
That's
Devil's
fair.
Core. She was
Yeah, that's
mentioned.
fair.
She also is a very big plot point of the Legend of Ruby Sunday, despite not
It's a
showing up.
2-season thing.
Yeah.
I
So
think
now
it's-
we got our first
this is the
actual
arc.
sight of her, and
That's
she's
a
now
lot
going
to
to show
wrap
up
up in 2 episodes.
in the finale, where Kate is going to be in the finale, who has talked with 15 about Susan. Ruby's going to be there, who is half the reason he talks about Susan at all. You know, I talk about family now, but the way I never did because of you. Susan's not going to appear here and then not show up in the finale. I firmly
Absolutely.
believe
She's in
coming
the
back.
season.
this
She's
makes
there.
me more nervous
Also,
now.
when she was being interviewed for
Get over
Unleashed,
it.
she was in a
No.
different costume.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did see
shit.
that too. Yeah.
What?
When she was being interviewed for Doctor Who Unleashed, she was in a different costume. She was in like a
I
gown.
did think that. I did think that.
Okay. Wow.
So
yeah.
So this
Yeah.
was like I mean for all the comments people have about them now for John Barrowman when he was in Fugitive of the Jadoon and there was some like
I
which
wish
one
someone was on
Which one
set
was it?
for one of those episodes.
He was yeah. There was a thing where, like he was
Someone got invited to set. I don't know. A friend of the podcast.
when he was in Fugitive of the Jadoon, I think it was. There was like a behind the scenes bit they filmed where John Barrowman should have been in the background and he was wearing a different costume to Fugitive of the Jadoon. And there was an early theory there of that was when he was going to come back for Revolution of the Daleks before it was confirmed. So it could be a
it
very
was
similar
spot on.
thing to that.
He was wearing a light shirt in Fugitive, and he was wearing a dark blue shirt for the Revolution of the Daleks.
That was it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people
Ace
spotted
Creeper
that in,
told
like,
me,
the
so I
background of
knew.
one of the little... Yeah.
I didn't.
Winky face. I'm kidding. He did it.
I don't even know what you said. My brain's just clearly not keeping up with
don't
keeping
worry
up at the minute.
No, don't worry.
Alright, cool. So we can take off Rani and Susan. So that's
Rani
job done.
Susan.
Are we not counting regeneration because it was a bi-generation?
No,
No, I'm counting that.
Let's count it. Let's
I'm
count
counting
it.
that. I didn't even notice
Because
that
we're probably
one.
not going to get a normal regeneration for another
Yeah.
bloody few years, are we?
Yeah.
So
Could we say that Mrs. Flood, because she regenerated, she died and she's a major character? Is that a major character death?
Can I make an argument for this? Because does she not go in the revival chamber? So, and that's what causes her to regenerate. So technically, she does die.
technically did die, actually, yeah.
Mrs. Flood is a major
I would count her as a
character.
major character.
What are we?
Okay, we can cross that off.
Which
I'm down.
one are we
I
looking
mean, we
at?
crossed off Daleks because
Major-
15 said the word Dalek. This feels like
Major
a better
character death next to
justification than that.
Daleks.
Yeah,
Middle
sure.
left.
Yeah,
What was
let's
the
do it.
Benny level meme?
We just were like, if there's something people talk about for longer than a week, we'll
I
count
think
as a meme and polish
I
for
would
like hung around
vote.
for a while.
You voted for Polish. I think Mr. Ringading has gone viral. I think he's
Oh,
gone
that is
viral.
Yeah, I
become
think that's in
true, yeah.
hindsight.
Mr.
that's a better
Ringading's
one.
got Rule 34. It's over.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
hasn't.
Tell me about it.
No, he hasn't. You're kidding me.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
what?
heard somewhere.
Yeah, someone said it somewhere.
I think Crispy told me, to be honest.
This
I think
I'm
George
sorry,
told me, actually.
For our dear listeners, I realize
think we
we
said it to
explain
each
things
other,
sometimes.
actually.
If you don't know what Rule 34 is, you're better not knowing I'm not
Yeah.
explaining it.
Yeah.
Don't look it up.
We don't need to spend any more
The fact
time
that
on
he
it.
has that is concerning. That's all we're going to say. So, yeah, let's tick off major character death, tick off regeneration, tick off Rani returns, tick off Susan returns.
Have
I
we got
also want to
bingo
tick
yet?
off, mainly because it's unique to the...
Do we have bingo? We're one off
Close.
bingo.
If Story of the Engine
close.
is best episode of the series, then you got bingo.
And then we're
Well,
on.
It is.
But,
Yeah.
callback song at the Interstellar song contest. My main thing was we get a song we'd heard previously in Doctor Who. However,
I don't think this counts,
as we
my
hinted
guy.
at earlier, is it Christina Rotondo? Is that her name? Who is
Yeah,
the voice
yeah.
of
Janice Goblin,
She was-
yeah.
Janice Goblin? Was Lizardo or whatever they call it? Just sounded like Lizzo, to be honest. Was
Lizzo.
Lizardo in the song contest?
I did
Technically,
think that.
callback singer. Are we willing to stretch it to take that off? Otherwise, it's
No.
not going ticked
It's
off.
not
I
a
kind of want
callback.
it.
It's just a returning voice.
I would argue no. For that one,
I'm arguing no.
Can I throw another one in the mix? The gravity mavity payoff.
What's the payoff?
I don't think we got payoff. They just said it.
Yeah, we're not going to pay off to the.
They just
The
said
idea of
Mavity,
that is
I
like
don't
it's
know.
pay off
The
to the
whole
name
thing about
changing, but
he
I don't
reverses
think.
the mavity or something, and that's how they survive in space.
but
and
like
they can.
no, they're just saying mavity instead of gravity. Like if it's payoff, like it's like they have to go. Oh,
Wait a
that's why
second.
we're doing that.
That's why we're-
That's why
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what you
That's
It's
mean.
never
not
getting
payoff in a story
resolved.
with relating to gravity.
That's
But I'm
never
just saying,
getting resolved.
if we tick off the callback song one, just saying that opens up another opportunity for bingo because all we need to do is agree the best episode is guest
Yeah.
written, and we'll get double bingo 2 in one go.
Double bingo?
And wouldn't that be
It's
cool?
never been done. It's never been
Wouldn't
done.
that be cool? I'm
It's
just
never
saying,
been done.
Crispy, wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool, man.
Well, yeah, you
Can we
get
cross it off then?
But you get it anyway, though.
Oh.
If you cross regeneration and then someone dies,
yeah.
That's
What?
no. We're saying major character death. We're counting Mrs. Flood's death as a major character
so
death.
then you
that's what I'm
don't
saying.
need to cross off the callback.
But we could get double bingo.
We
That'd
don't.
be even cooler
I'm
than
happy
single
with
bingo.
just one bingo. I'm happy with just
What's
one.
better than one giant paint bubble? 2 giant
I
paint
hate
bubbles. What are we
fun.
doing here?
What do we think of what warrants less TARDIS interior scenes? What
Oh,
does
don't even
this
Right,
fall
let's,
under?
don't,
this
let's
has come
skip
up
that.
every
Let's skip
episode.
that.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
mentioning it, Crispy, because
Yeah.
this was your doing, and I'm holding you accountable.
Yeah.
So we had a discussion. Crispy suggested that we were going to be less TARDIS interior scenes because we hadn't had many in season 1, and I argued we'd surely get more because it was the second season. But he was like, no, I think we'll see less of the interior of the TARDIS. So
So you mean
yeah.
less
Put that in.
overall? Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And then we
that's-
also then had more vision, like ideas of the inside of the TARDIS. We'd see more inside the TARDIS.
Yeah,
which,
no,
Yeah.
we haven't. We
I
haven't.
don't know what that would like. That was never going to happen.
The fact we haven't seen the costume, the TARDIS costume room is disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think
I
there
agree.
is one.
Any other room? Just
I
give
think
me,
they just
there is
walk
one,
in
but
and
we
then
haven't
walk
seen.
out.
We haven't built one.
They
give me
just,
like a-
yeah.
Yeah, the implication is very much that they walk in and walk out now.
Yeah.
I mean, the Belinda
Maybe.
even says the TARDIS does your hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
true.
wondering. Let's do a 5-hour video essay on the,
The
is there a
TARDIS
TARDIS
hairdresser.
wardrobe
God.
this season?
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Okay, so we're ticking off. Rani returns, Susan Foreman returns, major character death, and regeneration, real or fake.
Thank you
Are we
very
all
much.
agreed on
Yum
that?
yum.
100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Delicious
All
four.
right.
Wow,
And
this is good. This is
To
good
be
for us.
fair, I mean, if the confrontation had been a bit stronger here, we could have also argued the Doctor and Belinda don't become best friends.
No, I
but
think they
let's see
become
how their
closer, if
relationship
anything.
wraps at the end of season
No,
2.
they're going to be friends. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Belinda saw
We'll
the
see.
guy torturing someone and she's like, yep, that's my boy.
They could be friends, but best friends. Best friends. Emphasis on best.
Yep,
I mean,
that's my
by
best
this
friend.
point in season 1, 15 had already said Ruby's my best friend. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Damn.
exactly.
Two-timer.
Awkward.
Just saying. Not yet. Not yet.
I'm
He hasn't
excited to
2
see Mel flashback is a good. That's strong. That could
Mel flashback,
happen.
definitely.
Because we've
Go
got
to
Rani
Yeah.
and
Oh, now we have
Mel.
the Rani. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Hello.
definitely happening.
Mel
We might
flashback,
see a clip
definitely.
from Time in the Rani, and if Mel's there, that counts, and we can cross it off.
Yeah, Mel. Well, Mel's. We know we've seen that
Mel's
shot
gotta
of Mel
be
in
in
the
it.
trailer with like stuff falling on, like the houses collapsing
Yeah,
around her in
exactly.
the
That
trailer.
was what
so,
prompted that bingo card. Yeah, that's that
we're
slot.
gonna get some
If-
Mel stuff.
If the Master turns up with a TARDIS, does that count as more TARDIS interior?
Yep, it does. Cooper, I love your
Yeah,
lateral
but by
figure.
our
This is
standards on this
beautiful.
card, yeah,
the
it would
Rani.
count.
So the Rani has a TARDIS then, right?
Must.
She must do.
Must.
Yeah.
Unless she's got a vortex manipulator she borrowed off Missy. Cheap and nasty times travel.
One thing that one thing that actually really intrigued me about this episode, and it's been actually hinted at throughout the season, is the Rani's obsession with the Vindicator, and she was like, and she's like, "Oh, we're good
Yeah,
to go
what-
now."
what-
I would,
yeah, what
I
is
really,
that
if there's
about?
no payoff to that, I'll be so annoyed. But I think that's interesting. Like,
No, but she
surely
was
something to do with
yeah,
her
they're
TARDIS.
following. She's now only started following the Doctor around when he's been using the Vindicator because he can't get back home. Because in Robot Revolution, she only appeared at the beginning, not in
Yeah.
the sort of not on the planet, right? And then
Yeah,
like,
you ain't seen
but
me.
she appears in Miami in Lux. She appears on the sort of scanner in the well in Lucky Day. When does does she appear in Lucky Day?
She's the governor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right at the end. But I think a lot of it is to do with the Vindicator, right? Like most of the instances are to do with them landing somewhere and getting a reading, and then we know she's been scanning that, and she's got a complete reading on like a little dial
readings,
thing.
yeah.
So what is that for? Like what? Hand
We'll
in
find
hand.
out
I hope it
next week,
pays
I
off.
assume.
I really hope it pays off.
It's going to be like a bootstrap paradox thing, I wonder. Is like the reason that the planet blows up or is not, the TARDIS can't land there is because of what Mrs. Flood's done with the Vindicator, but the only reason she's got that reading is because of that in the first place. I'll be doing like a
Nah,
bootstrap
Stephen
thing.
Moffat's not writing, mate. Stephen Moffat's not writing. Don't worry about
It'll
it.
be the master.
Yeah.
Yeah, crikey.
Maybe she's
know.
a big Minecraft movie fan. I'm just saying.
Why? What does that have to do with anything?
One of these two is going to clock it.
A
I hope.
Vindicator?
A vindicator.
I'm not.
Not a clue,
That's
mate.
what the guys
I
in the
plead the
mansion are
fifth.
called. They're called vindicators.
I'm not interested in Minecraft.
Chicken jockey.
I plead the
forget it.
fifth.
All right, so that wraps up our bingo section. I thought you two had seen the movie.
I have seen the
Yeah.
movie and I'm choosing to ignore.
But what do you mean?
Oh,
but what do
right,
you
that
mean?
makes
I
more
don't
sense. That makes
understand.
more sense. So,
I've seen
ladies and
it.
gentlemen, what?
I've seen the film.
What, George?
I don't know what you mean. I'm still
The
lost.
mobs in Woodland Mansions in Minecraft are called Vindicators. The ones
Are
who
they?
set them up for the chicken jockey scene. Yeah, forget it.
Obviously.
This is what I told you in Nostalgia Break, Cooper. He's a performative gamer. He doesn't understand these things. It's disgraceful.
Mrs. Flood be like, the chicken jockey is fully charged. Fantastic.
No, don't push it too far. Don't
I
push
can't
it
wait
too
for
far.
Mrs. Blood to say it's Vindicator time and Vindicate's all over the Doctor.
I can't wait for Mrs. Flood to open a portal to the Nether in the finale.
I can't wait for it to say it's flooding time and flood the whole place.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so that's
Chicken
bingo wrapped
jockey.
up, everyone. So 3, 2, 1 for the video listeners. There is the bingo card on the screen, so you can see the adapted version. And as we've all said, when we talk in the finale episode, we'll decide was the best episode guest written, and we'll make a judgment.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, exciting.
One of these last two
Very
has to be a
good.
banger.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
One of these.
I'm
last
really
two has to
excited. I love
really-
me a good RTD finale. So
Yeah.
Legendary Ruby Sunday was top 3 for season 1 for me. I don't care what anyone else
No,
says.
I like the season 1 finale. I still go on record with that.
Okay.
And you can watch our episode of the Legendary Ruby Sunday where we had George on.
Oh yeah,
to talk
George was
about
up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited. I was excitable for that one.
Yeah. Don't know where Cooper was at that time.
Yeah, what were
He
you
was
doing?
editing the podcast.
Yeah, he's editing Nostalgia Bait,
Bait.
yeah. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a good point to wrap this episode up.
Yeah.
Crispy, have you got any closing comments to sum up this incredible discussion?
Oh gosh, if I could sum it up in one word, it would be hang on.
Don't put Space Babies on. Don't do it.
I'm not.
Okay, good. Stop it!
That's my
Stop
comment.
it.
That's my comment. Just a whoa.
I'd like to
Oh,
submit that
right.
for Eurovision next year.
George Cooper, do your promo. Do your
Yeah,
promo.
please.
I'm done.
Oh,
I did it
wait,
last
wait,
week, so
fine.
do you want to do it?
Do you want me to do it? I'll do it.
You can do it.
Yeah, we're available pretty much anywhere. Our podcast is called Nostalgia Bait. We're on YouTube, on Spotify. If you want to watch the video podcasts and listen along, we're also available on Amazon and all the good streaming podcast platforms because all the rubbish ones haven't got us on them. We are also on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're all over the place, and we've got our own sort of social medias, so you can see us bobbing around on there. I'm GB Sheard. Cooper, what's your at? I can't remember.
Actually, Twitter's Cooper_Britain, I'm pretty sure.
There we go.
I think
Look
so.
at that. We're cooking. And
There you go.
Just Google Nostalgia Bait podcast
Yeah,
wherever
we'll
you
come
go.
up.
You'll find it. You'll find it somewhere.
It's true. It's truly a beautiful podcast as well. By the way,
We
it's
will
so much
also
fun.
be
It's so
doing
much fun.
a season recap at the end of
Yeah.
the season.
Well,
as
that's
well.
also we've
Yeah.
also just had Troy on the podcast. So if you want to have a
Yeah.
bit of familiarity, you can listen to our recent episode where we had Troy
Yeah.
on, which was a great
And it was
episode.
fantastic.
And
It's such a
in the
fun
future,
episode.
we'll be having Crispy on as well.
yes,
So
yes,
Yeah.
yes, a million
keep-
times.
And they got to have me back on because we didn't talk about Limitless Win for some reason.
That's
yeah,
true.
we didn't. Got to always leave a little bit of something. Sort of
next
leave
time.
them wanting
If
more.
you want more.
Exactly.
You've had my Susan in this episode in Nostalgia Bait. I've shown up and then I've got to come back to finish the story.
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
true.
You've just been stood here mewing, saying,
mewing.
find me.
Thank you all for watching this episode of Who's There. My brain hurts. We're wrapping up. Next week we will talk about Wish World,
Yeah.
the penultimate episode of season 2, and the opening of the finale two-parter. Crispy, who's our special guest next week?
Oh, it's Tharies.
It's Tharies. Yes, we'll be having him on to talk about Wish World. Who'll be the last guest, because as you all know, the first and the last episodes of the season, it's just us two.
Thank
You know, we've got too much to talk about. We can't have more voices in spoiling the discussion. We can't have it. We can't have it.
No.
So Tharies will be our
spoilers.
final guest for season 2. But we'll have more people later down the line, probably, if they like us enough, or if we like them enough.
Maybe.
You know, it's got to be mutual. It's
If
gotta be
that
mutual.
if that clip of you saying George's opinion is rubbish goes viral, we're not getting any guests anymore.
Dude, are you trying to give me an anxiety? Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all next week with whatever number episode it is. I lose track of the episodes we're on, to be honest. So, see you all next week. Until then, it's goodbye from special guest George Sheard.
Bye.
It's goodbye from special guest Cooper Britton.
See you later.
It's goodbye from Crispy Pro.
Bye. I was going to think of something fun.
The regular host, the least effort by out of the three of them. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. See you all next week. Alonzi, baby.
Alonzi, baby.